Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, well I have finally got some heated grips for the XJ6. Thank God my hands have been asking for this for years, but I've been too silly to just go and do it. It was when I started using other bikes, like bikes that I've reviewed that had heated grips. You just find that you use them and I like them, so I wanted to get some for the XJ6. Whoops. R&G were very kind and have sent me a set to do a review on. Okay, so what comes in the kit? You get the power cable, which has got a fuse in it, and you've just got your positive and your negative. There's many different ways you can wire this into a bike. I'm actually going to go direct for now, but I do have an automotive relay which will allow me to have a switched supply, because I don't appear to have a spare 12 volt switch supply cable on this bike. So for now I'm going to do it the direct way, which I will talk about the problems with doing that. The other thing you get is obviously a grip for the left and a grip for the right, because it's bigger, because it's got the throttle tube's got to go inside here obviously. And then you have the connector for the 2 and the control button for your temperature settings, of which there appears to be 5, I can't count. They also sent me some Renthal grip glue to obviously to glue these on. I guess that works. I thought this went soft with heat, but I may be wrong. Right, let's just uncover this. It's the battery cover. And we can see all of that. This cable is to do with the USB charger I've got in the back, out of shot here, which is direct connected to the bike, but it is switched, so I can switch that off. Under here is a small fuse box. I've checked, there's nothing spare on there to use, so... Sorry, we've got some roofing work going on. So basically there isn't anywhere I can easily tap it in, so what I would need to do is... I'm going to use a direct connection, but the problem with that is if I forget to turn them off, even with the bike off, it will drain the battery down. So if you do that method, it's fine, but it is better to have it switched. So I do have an automotive relay set in the future, but for now I need this bike with warm grips very soon for a trip I'm going on, so I'm just going to get on and put them in. As a lot of you know, inside the throttle grip is actually a plastic tube, which is what spins on the bar, but it's also what connects into the throttle cables, and that's what actually gives you a twist. So to fit the heated grip you need to chop this rubber off to keep the tube, and then you've got, as I showed you, one of those grips is bigger because it's to go over the tube, whereas in the other side is to go directly onto the bar, which is 22mm. What on earth? Oh, it's the whole thing. So if you've got bar ends, you are going to need to remove them. Wow! I had no idea. That is the beefiest bar end I think I've ever seen. Look at the thread on that. Now what I've done is I've actually ordered a new one of these which comes with a grip on it. The reason I've done that is because I can take the opposite grip off without damaging it, but this one I will have to destroy it. But I always like to have a spare around, because if in the summer I decide, you know, I don't need the heated grips on, I can take them off until the next winter, I can just pop the tube on and keep the heated grip on the other tube, so you can switch backwards and forwards, and it's, you know, it'll be a 20-minute job. But for now, we have to do the deed. Sorry Divvy, this is going to hurt me as much as it's going to hurt you. Yes, my bike is called Divvy, but then a lot of XJ6s are known as Divvy. Oh, thank God. What you want to hope you don't have, in this instance, is a moulded grip, where the rubber is actually moulded to the tube underneath. I've had this.
I've seen this. I've done this. You don't want this.
On the CBF 125 it was like this, and it took a good hour of whittling the rubber off to get the grip off. But this, actually I probably could have got this grip off without cutting it had I known this, but oh well. They are pretty old grips. They're the standard grips that came on this bike. It's amazing how long they've lasted for. Easy! I like that. They've given me that grip glue to use, so I'm going to try it out, because if they've given it to me then it must be the best thing to do. I personally probably would have used super glue, but then super glue does let go with heat as well, so I don't know. Now one of the reasons it's taken me a long time to get heated grips is because up until now most of the ones I've used, apart from factory fitted ones, are really fat, and I don't like that. But the R&G ones are just slightly bigger than normal size, I would say. Yeah, just very slightly. It's a nice size. I like it. I don't like them when they're just huge and fat. It feels weird to me. Right, so I put a little bit of glue on, and I'm going to smush it around as I put this on and hope to get a really good thin coating all over the thing, but not too far up because you don't want to cause binding. I'm also at this point going to put the bar end back in because I want to make sure there's clearance before it sets. See how that's pushing it up? Yeah, see, that's... Okay, we had some issues. Basically, I glued this on, and when you put the bar end in, well, I glued it, but the glue didn't hold, so I am going to use super glue when I get it right. I screwed in the bar end, and as you can see, it's clamping the throttle in place. So I need to trim the end down. Now, I've just spoken to R&G on the phone, and they said going down to this edge should be absolutely fine. I've actually peeled back to see where the elements start, and it's up here somewhere. So if I trim to that line to give me the slack I need to make sure the throttle's not sticking, that's not really a problem right down here. So I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to have to do is get a knife, trim this little bead off, and then the plastic that protrudes out, I'm going to have to get the belt sander and just flatten that off. Unless I can cut through it with a knife, I'll see what happens. But yeah, basically, I'm going to have to trim this end down. And you can do that, but you cannot go far down the grip. You literally, that line there is about what you can do. Okay, so I've just trimmed that down with a knife, and I'm now going to grind this down. I will mention this because I know some people may say, well, why don't you just move this further down the bar, which will give you more space? That is a possibility, apart from the fact that because I have stock bars and everything, this has got a stop in it, a little pin that goes into the bar, which means you cannot move this down the bar. But that's good because it means this is absolutely solid, and you're not going to have the problem, whereas this is just clamped on the bar, that you turn the throttle, and this whole thing turns. It's not good when that happens. So I'd rather adjust this than adjust this. Okay, I reckon that should do it. There you go, perfect. I've got that little bit of play that you want because it means that it won't jam on. So as I said before, I want to make sure that the wire's pointing down, so when I put the throttle on, it just faces forward and doesn't end up being like here at normal running speeds. I'd much rather that it was around there. I'm going to put a little bit inside, but a little bit into the neck so it pushes down in and isn't on the edge. Okay, so the glue's set. That's working as I wish. A moment of truth, I'm going to screw the bar end in and hope that it's all free. Right, bar end's on. Got the play. Works perfectly. Great stuff. On to the other side. Okay, so to get this side off, one of the easiest ways is with an airline if you've got one. If not, shove a screwdriver up there, it'll cut it off. But I want to try and keep it. That didn't work, so these are really well glued on, so I'm running a screwdriver under it. Work your way around and you can slowly unstick your other grip. It's so easy and so simple! All of a sudden I've realised I don't need to keep this grip, and this is going to be the easiest way. Oh, so easy and so simple! Right, that one is a nice tight fit, so I'm just using a very small amount of glue. And on this side the wire fits in nicely with the housing, so get that bar end on, make sure it's clamped down in the right place. Perfect. Okay, so you have a cable from each side and you have the button, so you choose where you want the button to be on the bike. I'll probably put it on there. Then you just have to tuck this away in here, you connect the two cables onto these, and then the power connector, which will run on a cord down to the battery, goes that way. So this bit's going to be a bit fiddly, I can't show you a lot of it, but basically you want to make sure that there's slack for the throttle cable, so when you twist the throttle on and off, you know, you're not getting any pulling going on there. And on this side it doesn't matter in that way so much, but you also want to make sure there's no pulling when you turn the bars. So just put it all in loosely, then start tying points down and moving your way around until it's all neat and tidy and you're left with one obvious connector that you can then run the power cable. I'm going to run mine probably under my tank, so I'm going to need to lift my tank. Oh, I forgot to show you this. This is a little pack you get. It's got screws in it and sticky pads and bar end bungs by the looks of it, and a little mounting plate to mount your button, but I'm just using self-adhesive Velcro, which I've got, because it means I can take this on and off. Okay, so we're all done. We've got a good amount of slack on this side for the throttle. That can actually probably be shortened a bit more like that, but it just, you want it to be loose, you don't want it to catch on anything. And obviously we've got free play on this end, so this is all good. This end has all set properly and is all on great and dandy. We now have the button here, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and off. And that's routed around here. The cables, I couldn't show you any of this stuff because it's all down in there. But I basically ran the cables, as you can see here, I ran them underneath, tie wrapped them on. And then I loosely fit everything, made sure by turning the steering side to side there was plenty of leeway for the cables, they're not going to get snagged on anything. And then it's all secured up and under here, loosely but securely. And as I said I was going to do, the main power cable comes under my tank, comes on here. I've got some of it hidden under this panel here. And it's a bit of a mess here because I've got different systems on it because I've got this USB charger. But it's directly wired to the battery, so it does run without the bike on, and I could drain my own battery doing that if I forgot to turn them off, but I will trust myself not to do that in the same way that I've always remembered to switch off my USB charger. But I will, sooner or later, use the automotive relay I've got, find a signal wire of some sort that I can use to set it off so they don't stay on and I can turn it on and off. But for now, it's good because it means I've got heated grips for my long trip. Well, I'm pleased to say that these grips feel very nice. They are very slightly bigger than the stock ones, but nothing like the big fat ones I don't like. I'm impressed. The install was, you know, it had a few little issues there, nothing to do with their kit really, more to do with my bike, and it took no more than an hour, even with all the problems, so that's pretty good. I've been out for a ride for a while, and as you can see, it's not nice out. It's pretty cold, it's a bit spitty, very windy, it's not pleasant. But my hands are toasty warm. It seemed to take about 5 minutes for these grips to get from completely cold to all that's too hot on setting 5. So, you know, that's heating my gloves as well as everything else and get my hand to a point that's like that's too hot in 5 minutes. I put it on 3 and it seems to be just about right. Oh, it's so pleasant. You know, it doesn't even have to warm your hands up like to hot. They just want them to be neutral. It feels lovely. It's so comforting to have warm hands. Even if the rest of you's cold, you don't notice it nearly as much. Well, I don't anyway. Okay, so my final conclusion on the R&G Heated Grips. They weren't difficult to install. They had everything you wanted in the kit. They seem well made. They're having the less girthy grips. It's fantastic. I absolutely love the feel of these. They are very grippy. Very nice. They are definitely, you know, removing the vibrations out of the bar, so it feels great on the hands. They run hotter than I need them to run. I have nothing bad to say about them. Still all good stuff. And also for me, where I've had a bad motorcycle crash about 5 years ago and had surgery on my thumb, this thumb gets very sore in the cold because of the damages on the inside of my thumb. And just being warm from this one ride alone, I can just notice how much more comfortable it is in the cold. So if you've got arthritis or anything in your hands, super, super pleasant. For many years I said I'd never get heated grips. I didn't need those. I was just being stubborn and silly, trust me. Every man cracks eventually. Took me 9, nearly 10 years. Oh, but I'm so happy I have them now. In the description I'll put a link of some sort where you can find these grips. Thank you very much to R&G, thank you very much to everyone who watched this. If you found it useful, please remember to leave a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you next time. And next time I'll still have warm hands. It's so nice! I'm so happy!